We are back, and we are discussing this time. Last time we talked about us being moderators on his server and how we kind of began. This time we want to talk about actually working for him and what that was like. So again, much like before, Nova was hired before I was, so I'll just go ahead and let her do her blurb about that before I got hired on. So go ahead.
So I was hired back in November-ish of 2018, where originally he hired me to like do some work for his day job, and then I'm guessing it's stuff that he was supposed to be doing but was too lazy to do. And then it was marketing for csjoseph. Now, I had no experience in marketing whatsoever. I know a little bit about the psychology of sales, and I did back then, but knew nothing. He hired me to do marketing, and he hired someone else to do marketing at the same time, and we were supposed to be a team. The thing is, my teammate there didn't really help me with anything. Chase didn't really give me direction. He was just like, the most direction he gave was like, write an email campaign. And then when I didn't do it, he started guilting me. Like, I have a screenshot here where Chase says, I hate my life, so I'm just working on surviving, hopefully one day. And I'm like, wow, he's opening up to me, so I'm going to try to make him feel better. I told him, think about all the people you helped. And he's like, I can thrive. Guess, hopefully one day I can thrive. And I'm like, just so far. He's like, yeah, well, who is going to help me? Like, I asked for email campaigns in January. People I helped, I'm becoming real bitter and real jaded, real fast. So he's basically guilting me for not getting email campaigns done when I had no idea what the fuck I was doing or really what that even meant. I kind of knew he was guilting me a little bit, but I guess I didn't realize how fucked up it was, and I just let it happen. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, because I felt bad for him. He was kind of supposed to be my friend at that point.
But I mean, like, that's the way he basically gets people to do things too. So slightly before I was hired on, I was actually encouraged to join the team, not by Chase, but by a mutual friend who was an admin on the server and also working for Chase at the time. And I basically got on the staff through high recommendation, not so much because I'm Chase's friend, or ever was Chase's friend. And even before I began working for him, I was in a situation where I had no way to actually work for him at the time. And it was waiting until I could actually be hired on. Now, the reason why that's important is because the position I was being hired onto was to be his personal assistant, to manage his time for him, to manage his schedule, and to also end up being the operations manager of his company. I basically ran his company for him. But before I get on to that, I wasn't able to be hired on immediately. And my circumstance was essentially out of my hands. I had no control over it, which, yes, immensely bothered me. But also he had a time frame, but he kept on calling me every 2 weeks or so to try and guilt me into starting my job early. And yeah, I worked from home, but the situation I was in did not allow for me to be able to work for him at that moment. And he just was not understanding about it. And he kept on trying to guilt me, saying how stressed out he was and how much of a relief I would be when I finally got hired on, and et cetera, et cetera.
As if there was anything you could do to start faster.
Right? There just wasn't anything I could do to start faster at all. And he knew this, and it didn't matter to him. He was still going to try and guilt me anyway. Not a combination of not only was I just physically unable to do it, but also my general attitude on that is I'm going to do things when I want to do them at my own pace, and there's nobody who's going to guilt me into doing it. And I saw him guilting me right away and did not care for it. And I basically was like, there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry. Which he didn't like. But, oh well, that was a lot of our relationship, actually, if you want to call it a relationship. Every time I ever talked to him, it kind of boiled down to that. he does that a lot with a lot of his employees, I found. He guilts them into working for him. It makes them feel bad for him, and that's how he gets people to do what he wants them to do. And a lot of times people think they are genuinely helping him and that they're doing something good, that they want to do this. But like, he is extremely manipulative in that fashion.
He is. Well, he prides himself on being manipulative and manipulating people, but really his go-to is to just guilt people. It doesn't matter who you are, he'll just try to guilt you, and it's easier to do if you're already his fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his fans believe in what he's doing and trying to get the word out because typology has helped them in some way. So even though he's, paying most of his employees, it's still like they feel good about helping the cause. And then if he reveals, he's stressed out about this and that not being done, he uses that to motivate people to do things faster, I guess.
I think that every single person who worked for him was guilted into doing it, other than me. I think I was literally the only person who wasn't guilted into working for him. And the only reason why I started working for him was because it was on the recommendation of our mutual friend. And also, I'll admit, at the time, I believed in his message. I believed in what Chase was saying. Even if I didn't know Chase very well himself at the time, he wasn't guilting me. It was, I believed that his system could make a real, genuine difference in the world.
Yeah.
And
it's not
that motivated me.
It's not that his employees only started working for him because they were guilted. They probably would have worked for him without being guilted. I think that's just his default way of trying to get things.
Getting his way, yeah. Guilting people every time that he wants to get something from you. Or if he just plain wants to make you feel bad. Yeah. Plain and simple.
SE demon.
Guess what? That's an abusive tactic. It has nothing to do with SE demon bullshit. It has entirely to do with the fact that he wants control. And one of the ways to do that is to make people feel awful and manipulate the situation from there. If he puts himself into a position where you can come to him for forgiveness or go to him to make things all better, that gives him power. That gives him dominion over you, in a sense. And you're more likely to do what he wants because you're trying to rectify a situation that it doesn't even have anything wrong with it.
Well, I mean, I did end up, doing those email campaigns, but a lot of shit happened first. So I ended up doing a lot of learning on my own about marketing, and Cassie here, she taught me a lot about graphic design, and we helped build his company from making maybe a few grand a month to almost 10 grand a month, setting up Patreon and doing marketing, building his website, creating, coaching pages, what have you.
I want to give some background to that. So he actually put out an ENFJ video a couple of months ago, and I thought it was very funny what he was saying, which was basically, your credibility means nothing. And there's a reason why he said that. Like, there's a genuine reason why he said that, and I'm 80% sure it was toward me.
There's butthurt behind everything like that he says to a type. It's all based on his personal experience. And
No,
I mean, like, everything negative that he says about types, it's based on his personal interactions and whether he likes them or not.
Let me finish my statement. So basically, where I'm going from there is I have training in marketing. I have extensive education in it. I got trained by Disney. Like, I know what I'm doing when it comes to marketing, and I know what I'm doing when it comes to management. And that's essentially what I did. That's what I brought to the table in his company. Not only did I manage his life, and I did manage his life. I managed his work schedule. I managed his personal schedule. I managed everybody's schedules in a way in the workplace. When I was brought on, everything was in chaos and disarray. Nobody knew what they were doing. I wouldn't say they don't know what they're doing. They just didn't have any direction for it.
Because Chase just gives you like a vague thing, like make me email campaigns or build ClickFunnels, and then you have to like sit there and figure out, well, what does that even mean?
Fact of the matter is like, he'll quote a bunch of books at you, the audience, in his normal videos. He does that to people in real life too. He'll quote books on like marketing that are made by these pyramid scheme type rich people, where the books don't say anything on how to actually do anything. It's the get rich quick type of books where if you read my book, if you buy my book, I will reveal the secrets on how to make all this money. Well, let me tell you right now, it's a bunch of baloney.
That whole book, like, I've read books like that, and it's basically like a whole, because I read it because Chase wanted me to. It's basically like kind of, it gives you like just enough information to make you think you're learning something, but not really. It's really just kind of an elaborate setup to try to get you to buy like whatever coaching or marketing service their firm is selling. So they'll like casually mention their services and what they do for people throughout the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. So he was telling people to read this because Chase is the expert on every single thing. I'm being sarcastic here.
No.
But he really thinks that just throwing a book at somebody is sufficient enough to teach you how to do something that takes training, an entire career path to just do. You'll just know how to do it once you read this book. Just read the book. It'll be perfect.
Which worked out for him in a sense. Like, I had no experience. I learned a lot in a short time frame to really help grow his company. But that's like a 1 in a million thing. Most random people you just hire because you like or what have you, they're not going to be able to take little direction and like make gold out of it. And he said he appreciated me, but I don't think he really realized what I did.
No. Well, when I came in, when I entered the scene on everything, I basically gave everybody order and direction. I helped train Emily here on everything I could, everything I had as far as marketing and graphic design. I taught her as much as I could. She knew a bit herself with artistry, and I had taught her some of the artwork beforehand, before I even got hired on, just because we were friends. But like, I really showed how to do the correct things you needed to do to have her job run correctly. And she picked up on a bunch of stuff too via her own research. So really glad for her on that. But like the other people on his team, and yes, he did have multiple people working for him. Those who are out there saying, oh man, he does everything himself. No, he doesn't. He avoids doing as much as he possibly can.
He did pay almost everyone $15 an hour. That was like his starting wage, unless he could get people to work for free, which he did.
I think I was the only one who made more than that, and that was because I told him that he's going to pay me $19 an hour. No, I'm not doing $15 an hour to run his entire company. Sorry. No, thank you. And I say this, run his entire company for him. I'm not exaggerating or kidding on that factor. I was hired on to take over his company for him because he could not handle running his entire company in addition to working a separate job. But it turned out later that he just doesn't know how to run a company, period. Doesn't matter about the second day job.
When he brought her on, he literally said that she's everyone's boss, including mine. And if it would have stayed that way, great things would have happened. You were hired in what, like March of 2019?
Correct.
And that's when things really started going. And then we left, well, I left, and he retaliated in September of 2019.
We can get into that on a different video because that's a story, all right.
So you'll notice, if you've been following Chase for a while, last year, you noticed a lot of things changed in terms of like quality of like thumbnails and his website and social media posts. Well, that was all our direction. We helped coordinate other employees to do some of the work, but like we either did the work ourselves or we directly told people how they needed to do it and what they needed to do.
And we hired on special people to either pick up with the graphic design, help with social media, all that fun stuff. Like, it's because of our direct intervention with a lot of it that it wound up picking up. And he made quite a bit of money while we were working for him. And that wasn't because of him, that was because of us and us
Now,
working our asses off.
granted, we say he made, but until when did he quit his job? August?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, until he quit his job, he did not take a personal paycheck from the company. There was a lot of money that went into payroll, and then there's website fees, stuff like cameras that he needed to buy, what have you, all sorts of like technology that he paid for with the company money, that because it was for the company. But
That was also about the time where we put out that whole video on money that he makes. And people on YouTube dissected that. And the people said anything from, oh, he's making way more money than that, or he's making no money at all. I don't believe any of this. Well,
we begged him forever to put that out because there were a lot of people who thought he was getting rich off of it and were like, look, Chase, just put out a video saying that you're not taking a paycheck so that your employees can get paid and what have you. And talk about some of the things that you spend
$15 an
the
hour
funds on.
at minimum or maximum 10 hours a week for most people in his company. I think me and Emily were the only exclusions on that, where Emily could, how many hours were you allowed to go up to?
20. 20 a
20.
week.
And I was allowed to go as far as I needed to in the quotations of other people who are at the same level as me in the company, due to the fact that my job was essential to keeping everybody running and running smoothly. So I averaged about 30 to 35 hours a week at $19 an hour. But everybody else had a maximum of 10 hours. And I will give a good solid estimate. I think there are about 8 people working for him at the height of everything. Yes?
Even the ones that were working for free. I think it was only one person at that time.
Yeah, there was only one. Well, there was a total of 10 people on the staff. I'm not including the people who worked for free. So keep in line that number. You want to add that up, you go right ahead. He had to pay everybody that much. And then he also had to pay website fees and, like she said, equipment and things like that. And there was quite a bit of equipment. He replaced his camera at least once a month. Oh my God. Or bought a new camera once a month. Like, that was an ongoing thing.
He was constantly buying stuff, like, and
unnecessary stuff.
oh, God, yeah.
But that is a topic for another time. Again, we have reached the end of our session. We will pick it up again next week. Goodbye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you want to hear more, hit that subscribe button. And feel free to ask any questions you have down in the comments below. At some point, we're going to do a Q&A video, so all of the questions that you may have asked us before or want to ask us about working for Chase or being his moderator or even about Chase if we know it, now's your time. We'll actually answer now that we're not trying to protect his business.
Absolutely. Anything goes.
And feel free to share this video with your typology friends on Reddit, Discord servers, wherever.